All right, and our final quick little topic for the podcast is the Nintendo Switch. This week, March 3rd, 2023, is actually the 6th birthday of the Nintendo Switch console. Console we've talked about a lot on this podcast. We've talked about rumors. We've talked about the Switch OLED. We talked about how we felt about the device many times. And I think we're both really big fans of it. We've compared it to things like the Steam Deck and even like Ion Neo devices and stuff like that. And I think despite the fact that it's an older device, it's underpowered. We've talked about how it uses, cell phone tech from like 7-8 years ago now. It's still really, really cool and kind of a really awesome device. But, it's been 6 years. We've had PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X's launch in that span. Maybe it's time to see a sequel to the Switch. So I guess, just to finish this up, my question to you is, do you have any preferences of what you would like the Switch to look like? And if you think it will come anytime soon, considering we've had this current Switch for 6 years? And also, how do you feel about the last 6 years of the Switch? Do you think it was a success? Do you think it's something that they should continue going forward, or maybe go back to a traditional home style console and maybe a traditional handheld? Or do you think they hit it out of the park with the Switch?
I am going to say I think they hit it out of the park, personally. I think they should definitely continue with it. And I definitely think it's time for an upgrade. When we look at the numbers, I'm not sure if you have them pulled up now, but it's, they've done astronomical numbers, right? We've talked before about how many records they've broken. 6 years. I mean, I remember picking up my Switch and how excited I was to play the Breath of the Wild when it first came out. And now the Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out and I'm excited to play that too. I think they hit it out of the park. I think they should continue with it. And I definitely think that, and I think it's definitely easy to say, they've kind of revolutionized gaming, especially handheld gaming. Before the Switch, handheld gaming was pretty dead, right? It was really just the Nintendo, was it the DS? No, what was it?
3DS.
3DS. It was a 3DS, which was a great selling handheld, but obviously very underpowered. And outside of the Nintendo fan base, it's not like you weren't having, I guess, the wide adoption that you see from something like a PlayStation or an Xbox. At least when you think of, a quote unquote serious gamer. And I think what the Switch did is they showed that you can have a handheld portable device with console level graphics, right? That was the thing. A 3DS, you could tell that was like a 3DS game. You were never looking at gameplay footage from a 3DS and thinking, oh, wow, this looks like it could be on a home console. And when the Switch came out, it was like, no, this is a home console. We talk about it being underpowered when it came out, which it was. So it was an underpowered chip. But still, what they were able to produce, especially when you look at a game like Breath of the Wild, what they were able to produce on that handheld console was revolutionary. And because of that, we've gotten consoles like the Steam Deck, like the Ion Neo, like countless others that have said, hey, people are interested in handheld console level gameplay. And that's because the Switch was so successful. If the Switch wasn't so as successful as it was, we wouldn't have these companies and these devices popping up. I really hope they continue it because I think they've hit it out of the park. The fact that you can have a handheld console on the road, and then you can go home and use that same console, and then you can take it up, go back on the road. I think the fact that it's a 2-in-1 console, handheld, I think every company should be like that. I know PlayStation, Xbox, you can't put the same power as a PS5 or an Xbox Series S or X into a handheld device. I mean, maybe you could, but probably not with how much those fans spin up. I wish every console did that. And I hope Nintendo sticks with the form factor. Obviously, probably it might need to change in size or change in dimensions a bit. Just, hey, if you want to pack more power into this thing, maybe that's why they haven't put out anything in so long. It's because they're wrestling with, hey, if we want to make this thing more powerful, which we probably should, we might need to either make the device bigger or make the attachments bigger or make the dock bigger. But I think they should continue with this form factor. Ideally, it'd be nice if, you could still use the same I'm sure they'll change them up somewhat. They'll change them up a bit. But yeah, I don't know. I've really happy with the past 6 years. It's probably one of my favorite devices ever, if not my favorite device ever. And I'm definitely looking forward to a sequel to it. Yeah, I think it's a great device.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I think it's a fantastic device as well. It's right up there with one of my favorite consoles of all time, right next to the Wii, which I put there because of its retro stuff and the fact that it's also a GameCube and the fact that it's also a Wii. Um,
Mhm.
but the Switch, it's you also got the best Game Boy games on it now. You got the best Super Nintendo games, specifically from Nintendo, and it just keeps on growing. We're getting more N64 games on it in Switch Online if you're a subscriber to that. And they just released Metroid Prime Remastered, and it looks amazing. And it's a handheld. So yeah, it's like one of those things where 100%, I understand a lot of I think we've both seen it. A lot of when the Steam Deck came out, a lot of people saying how the Switch is, dumb, and Steam Deck is way better than the Switch ever could be, and Switch is underpowered and stuff like that. But then you see the things that they actually do with the hardware and just how kind of well the hardware works, like the way it docks. The games that come out for it are fantastic. It's just kind of an amazing device, especially after the Wii U. Because if you think about it, the Switch is a very similar concept to the Wii U, except the Wii U is how you do the Switch wrong. And they kind of, it's funny, it felt like they were switching directions, but no, they kind of doubled down on the Wii U and said, no, you know what, that was a mistake, but we can do it better. And they did. And it just makes me interested, like you, to see what they do in terms of how do they improve the Switch other than just giving it more power. Because, that's easy. You can, technology has definitely gotten better since this Switch has come out. And you can do a lot more in the same amount of space in a sequel to the Switch. But, the removable Joy-Cons was something that they kind of innovated on. The docking and undocking, the kickstand and all that stuff. This is stuff that they kind of just thought up for this device. I'm kind of curious what little kind of things they do for the next one. And I really hope Joy-Cons do carry over because those things are expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also am excited for the next version of the Switch, even though I think this thing could live for another year or so. But the reason why I am excited is I can't wait until physical games that people own start getting, showing up in garage sales and stuff like that. Because this is one of those consoles that I want to own a lot of my favorite games in physical versions. It's one of the last few consoles where the physical version of the game is actually the game. Instead of just getting a disc that allows you to download the game, the stuff is actually on there. And I think that's something that we're going to miss maybe even just in the Switch 2, but definitely something that we're not seeing in the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series. Those discs don't really have anything on them. They're kind of just blank discs. And yeah, I'm kind of really excited to start collecting games for this console because I think it's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah. All right. Take it easy, everyone in podcast land.
Catch you in the next episode.